Eternal Swan, a love beyond lifetimes. Let's get into the story. In the serene town of Anandapuri, nested between the sacred rivers, lived Keerthika, a woman of unwavering devotion. She was known for her deep faith in Sriman Narayana and Ma Lalitambika, practicing upasana with a heart full of love and surrender. Her life was dedicated to purity, both in her spiritual path and in the love she sought. She had always believed that true love must mirror divinity, pure, eternal, and unwavering. Like Radha for Krishna or Parvati for Shiva. Across the same sacred land, in a monastery surrounded by ancient banyan trees, lived Amitanand, a monk who had renounced worldly attachments but carried within him a heart filled with devotion for Sriman Narayana. Like Keerthika, he also sought the divine in every breath, every chant, and every moment of silence. His eyes, deep as the ocean, reflected wisdom, longing, and a love that transcended the material world. Their paths crossed on the banks of the river Sarvamangala, where Keerthika came daily for her morning prayers. She would offer lotus flowers to the water while chanting Vishnu Sahasranama, and Amitanand from a distance would observe her devotion with silent reverence. One day, as she lost herself in prayer, a strong breeze carried away the lotus from her hands. Before she could react, Amitanand, who happened to be meditating nearby, instinctively reached out and caught the flower. Their eyes met. It was a moment beyond words. Two souls recognizing each other, not as strangers, but as reflections of the same love, the same longing. In that instant, Keerthika saw in him the embodiment of the love she had always prayed for, pure, unwavering, untouched by desires of the body, but deeply rooted in the spirit. And in her, Amitanand saw the devotion he had spent years cultivating not in temples or scriptures, but in the heart of a woman who had become one with the divine. Over time, their unspoken bond deepened. They never spoke of love in worldly terms, for their love was not of possession, but of liberation. They would sit under the sacred peepal tree, reciting Vishnu and Lalita Sahasranama, surrendering to the oneness they felt. Their souls had merged like Radha and Krishna, beyond labels, beyond time. Yet Amitanand had taken the vows of a monk, and Keerthika had owed to love only a soul untouched by deceit. Their love was not meant to culminate in a worldly union, but in something far greater, a love that could never be tainted by separation or longing, because it was never bound by the physical realm. One fateful evening, as the sun set over Anandapuri, Keerthika and Amitanand sat by the river. The wind whispered through the trees, carrying their silent prayers to the heavens. "We are like swans," Keerthika finally spoke, her voice soft as a temple bell, "bound not by this life, but by a love that will follow us beyond lifetimes." Amitanand smiled, his eyes glistening with unspoken understanding. A swan never leaves its beloved. If separated, it waits. If one departs, the other follows, not out of attachment, but because they are one. That night, as the temple bell rang for the final arati, Keerthika closed her eyes in meditation, her heart merging with the divine. Across the monastery, Amitanand entered deep samadhi, his soul dissolving into the vastness of Vishnu's presence. By dawn, both had left their mortal forms, united not in this world, but in eternity. The villagers, upon hearing of their passing, whispered that two swans were seen gliding over the sacred river that morning, their wings shining like gold, moving together as if guided by an unseen force. Some say Keerthika and Amitanand were reborn in a realm beyond, where love is not bound by names or forms. Others believe they became part of the divine, merged into Sriman Narayana and the motherly goddess Lalitambika, forever chanting, forever together. For love as pure as that does not end. It simply becomes one with eternity. That's purely divine love. There is no death for that kind of love. This is the story about eternal swans. The perfect example for the unwavering loyalty. Namaste.